This is the Sonos Beam Gen 2, an update to their multi-award winning compact soundbar, the Sonos Beam. With a CPU that is 40% faster than the original and support for more audio formats including Dolby Atmos, is it now worth buying? And if like me you owned the original Sonos Beam Gen 1 version, then are the updates that this provides worth upgrading from? Welcome to my tech gear, let's get into it. Now the Sonos Beam Gen 2 is exactly the same size as the original Beam. It is 2.7 by about 26 by 4 inches high, wide and deep. And in millimeters, that's 69 by 651 by 100 mils. Overall, it is a very well designed, compact and smoothly finished soundbar that, being available in black or white, won't look out of place in your lounge. Its low profile and compact design also means that it's going to fit in most places, including underneath your TV, except for maybe some of the more modern OLED TVs, which tend to sit dead flush with your tabletop. Alternatively, there is a wall bracket that you can use to wall mount this, and it will wall mount both the Gen 1 or the Gen 2 version because they are both the same size. One big improvement over the original Beam is the replacement of the fabric grille with a polycarbonate grille, similar to what's on their more expensive Arc soundbar. Now this addresses one of my gripes about the original Beam. That fabric was just a dust magnet, and it wasn't durable either. I caught it on something and pulled the fabric a few times. So the new polycarbonate grille is easier to clean and far more durable, so I'm really happy to see that change. And setup for this couldn't be easier. Just connect your Sonos Beam to an ARC enabled HDMI port on your TV. If you have an eARC enabled HDMI port on your TV, then that's even better and you should use that instead. I'll get to why that's important in a bit. Now, if you don't have an HDMI port on your TV, then you can use the HDMI optical out adapter that comes with the Beam out of the box, although you do lose out on some of the more advanced features of the soundbar if you connect using it. Again, more on that in a bit. Plug the Beam into your mains power and then turn it on. Setup is then done via the Sonos S2 app from your mobile phone, which is available for both Android and iOS devices. Do make sure that your mobile phone is connected to the same home Wi-Fi network that you want to connect the Sonos Beam to. You can also connect the Sonos Beam to your network via the Ethernet port in the back, but I would rather say go wireless because it is super easy to do. Controlling the soundbar can be done via the buttons on the top of the soundbar. Now these allow you to control your music, adjust your volume and turn the mic on and off, which is exactly the same as the previous generation Beam. Now you can control your soundbar using the voice assistant, which I'll get to shortly, but most of the features of the soundbar are controlled via the Sonos app from your mobile phone. Sonos is well known for creating well-tuned speakers, so whilst you can adjust the treble and bass adjustments in the EQ settings of the app, I honestly don't think you need to. Some settings I think you will use though are the loudness toggle. Now enabling this not only provides additional emphasis on the bass, which generally is great for movies, but it also provides more clarity and detail to the sound. So I definitely recommend keeping that turned on. There's also a speech enhancement mode. Now that makes dialogue easier to hear. Now I used to use that quite a lot with the Gen 1 version of the Sonos Beam. However, I don't use it anywhere near as much on this Gen 2 version. And that's down to the better processor in the Gen 2 that's helping deliver better dialogue clarity than its predecessor. There is also a night sound mode, which reduces the intensity of loud sounds while increasing the level of quieter sounds, making dialogue clearer to hear without having to turn up the volume. Now this is great if you're trying to watch TV whilst the kids are in bed, or perhaps live in an apartment complex where you don't want to annoy your neighbours, because this thing can get loud if it wants to. So whilst you can use the Sonos Beam as part of your multi-room home audio system and integrate it with your smart assistant to control your home, which I'll cover in a bit, first and foremost it is a soundbar. And that's what most people are looking for when looking at the Sonos Beam. As with the original Sonos Beam, the soundbar consists of 4 full range woofers, 3 passive radiators, a dedicated tweeter in the center for vocals. The difference though now comes to the sound arrays that control and use those. So the Sonos Gen 2 version has 5 separate arrays compared to the Gen 1, which only had 3. Those 2 extra arrays are dedicated to surround and overhead sound processing. Not only that, but the Gen 2 also uses what Sonos calls psychoacoustic HRTF, which is head-related transfer function technology. So this gives the impression of height without the need for upward firing speakers. Now all of these work together along with the 2 side-facing woofers as well to create a wide and expansive soundstage that is better even than the original Sonos Beam. And that's saying something. Now I'm not going to say that this competes with a full-blown Dolby Atmos setup with dedicated upward firing speakers, because it doesn't. But The additional CPU power that the Gen 2 has really does make a big difference here and gives incredible clarity of sound with more depth, height and width than the original. Now, one of my issues with the original Sonos Beam was its limited audio format support, as it only supported Dolby Digital and stereo PCM audio formats. I'm pleased to say though that not only does the Gen 2 support those, but it also supports Dolby True HD, Dolby Atmos and DTS. Although DTS is going to be available as a software update shortly, or it might already be available depending upon when you're actually watching this video. So that's definitely an improvement of the Gen 2 over the Gen 1. Hey, so future me here, because I realized that when I was editing the video, I didn't actually talk about the audio codecs and how using the optical adapter impacts the support for those. Because whilst the Beam does out of the box support Dolby Atmos, if you use the optical adapter, you lose that support. The optical adapter will only support PCM, stereo and Dolby Digital. If your TV has an ARC HDMI port, then you will gain Dolby Atmos support through the Dolby Digital Plus codec. If you want Dolby True HD, then you need an eARC connector on your TV. So the connection port on your TV is vitally important for determining what codec support you get. So do make sure you check your TV manual. You can further improve the sound using TruePlay, which is found in the mobile app and uses your phone to tune your soundbar to the acoustics of your room. It is a great feature and really allows you to get the most out of your soundbar. But unfortunately, it is still only available for iOS devices, and that's annoying. I got around this by borrowing a friend's iPhone for 5 minutes. If you can't do that though, then you're not going to miss out on too much. It does make a difference and it does make it better, but it is just a minor improvement. Both the surround sound and bass prowess of the Sonos Beam is impressive, especially for its size, and it punches well above its weight class. There is a presence and weight to the bass, which, when combined with a wide soundstage and additional height that Dolby Atmos offers, creates a great sound experience for a soundbar. However, it is not going to match a dedicated subwoofer or surround sound speakers. Fortunately though, you can easily add those as and when you want. You can add left and rear surround sound speakers by adding any compatible Sonos speaker, such as the Sonos One SL, to the Beam using the mobile app. You can also add a Sonos subwoofer. However, at the time of this video, Sonos only make one subwoofer, and it's twice the price of the Sonos Beam, and it's more marketed as a pairing for their ARC soundbar. So I just think it's an unbalanced upgrade, really not worth making. However, rumor has it that Sonos will shortly be releasing a mini sub, and that could be a great sub for the Sonos Beam. So keep an eye out for that. It might actually already be out, depending on when you're watching this video. It's great to be able to have these options so you can upgrade the systems over time if you want. They do add an extra dimension to the sound, but they're not must-haves. As it's a Sonos speaker, it not only functions as a soundbar, but also as a media streaming speaker, where from the app, once linked, you can select and stream music from all the major streaming music services, such as Spotify, Deezer, and even Amazon or Apple Music straight to the speaker. If you have more than one Sonos speaker in the house, then you can even play from just a single speaker, a single room, or every speaker in every room in your house at the same time. It truly is a multi-room audio system, and one that Sonos has been renowned for years. So the fact that the soundbar doubles as both a soundbar and a multi-room speaker is an added bonus. And last but not least, the Sonos Beam also operates as a smart speaker, offering support for not only Amazon Alexa, but also Google Assistant. You can choose which voice assistant you want to have enabled on the Sonos Beam in the mobile app, but you can't have both on at the same time. So not only can you add the Beam to a native Sonos multi-room system, but you can also add it to a smart speaker setup where you can use it to, like you would any other smart speaker, for casting music from your phone to your speaker, so on and so forth. There are 5 mics built into the soundbar, ensuring that your voice is easily picked up even whilst it is playing music or a movie. You can also disable the mic as well using the touch sensitive button on the top of the speaker, with the LED indicating whether the mic is enabled or not. It does also add support for Apple AirPlay 2, so you can make it part of your Apple ecosystem too, although Siri support is limited and you can only use your mic on your phone to control it rather than the mic in the Beam. So should you buy it? Well, with the release of the Sonos Beam Gen 2, Sonos have fixed the 2 main issues I had with the Gen 1, of the fabric grille and the limited audio codec support, and that's great. And at the same time, it has delivered a soundbar that beats the original Sonos Beam by delivering more tech and more features, with an ability to generate clearer, more dynamic sound with greater height and width, thanks to its better processor, additional sound arrays, and support for more audio codecs such as Dolby Atmos. It still annoys me that the TruePlay feature only works if you have an iOS device, and in an age where we have self-configuring speakers, including Sonos's own speakers like the Sonos Roam, it's disappointing to see that they couldn't add that to this version. However, that aside, the Sonos Beam Gen 2 is quite simply just awesome. You will not find a better compact soundbar with more versatility, both sonically and feature-wise, for the price of only $449 or £449. It's a soundbar I definitely recommend. I will place a purchase link to it in the description down below, so you can go check it out for yourself. If you have the original Sonos Beam Gen 1, then should you upgrade? And I think it depends. Now, I upgraded because of the better grille and also the better codec support for the audio, and I'm glad that I did. So if that's important to you, then I would say yes, upgrade. If not though, then the Sonos Beam Gen 1 is still a great soundbar. Sonos do have an upgrade program at the moment where you can get a 15% discount off a new Sonos Beam Gen 2 if you already own the old Sonos Beam Gen 1. It's what I use to upgrade, so I'd recommend checking that out. I'll put a link in the description for that for you as well. If you are considering adding surround sound speakers or extending your Sonos multi-room system, then be sure to check out my review of the Sonos One up here. Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and share it. Consider subscribing if you're not. And as always, see you in the next one.